Hello everyone, it is Joe here from Omnipoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. And today, it's only been a couple of weeks since we last showed off Decidueye, but the deck is so different to anything else that we've played before. It's adapted a lot, and the list, to be honest with you, is still adapting. Decidueye is a deck that I am convinced I can make work, and there's so many inherent strengths with the card that I'm going to keep trying to nail out a list. So this might not even be the last time you see Decidueye in a small amount of time. We'll call this version 2.0. This is where we're at the moment with the list. I'm fairly happy with it. There are still a few issues and things that I'd like to improve on. But overall, this is a build that I'm quite happy with so far. So let's move into the main attacker of the deck, of which we play 4 of. This is a stage 2 Pokemon, so we are playing a 4-4-4 line of Decidueye GX. It has 240 HP, it's a grass type, weak to fire, and already that puts a handful of people off. I would say that obviously, yes, Volcanion is a very, very difficult, almost unwinnable matchup. But that doesn't mean that you necessarily shouldn't just like write off Decidueye straight away, because the format right now is quite open, quite wide, and going to a tournament, I wouldn't expect to see more than 10% of the field being Volcanion. So really, that's like 1 in your 9 rounds, you'll see a Volk list. So you can still easily make top 32 and then see what goes on from there. At the same time, I obviously could be wrong about that. So I'm just saying, just because it's weak to fire, don't write this card off. I see a lot of things on Verbank, I see a lot of comments from friends and people. They say, Decidueye, great card, but Volk. And it's like, well, yeah, but Volk is a thing, but a lot of people are saying the same thing. And if a lot of people are put off Decidueye, then that makes Volk less appealing. And I feel like it sort of has to ride the tightrope of picking your moments to play the Decidueye deck when Volcanion's on the down, or if it comes in hot on the first tournament, but there wasn't any grass things out there, maybe it'll go down and play the next tournament, and that's when you can pick up Decidueye and play with it. Right, that's my spiel over. Let's continue with the card. 240 HP is a lot. It's very difficult to even 2-hit KO Decidueye, which is awesome. It has the ability Feather Arrow, which is the main focus of this deck, although many parts of this card are very good. Once during your turn, you may put 2 counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. That's for every single Decidueye GX that we have in play. So each turn we can get potentially up to 83 damage just from our abilities alone, and that can be anywhere on the opponent's board. This is fantastic for setting up EX Pokemon or other GXs that have a lot of HP. It could also be good for dealing with lower HP things like Eevees, Cosmogs, Fermantises, all those sorts of things. So it's a really fantastic ability, and it's not one to be slept on at all. It's very, very strong. Then we have 2 attacks. The first is just its regular attack for a grass Double Colorless that does 90. Now, a lot of people just say this is underwhelming. I agree that it's not the most amazing attack that I've ever seen. But when you have Feather Arrow, this can reach really high numbers. So it's still a decent attack. It really is a decent attack. It's completely fine. We attack a lot with Decidueye in this list in particular. I know that there are other builds of Decidueye out there with more hammers, more max potions, and you're just trying to tank and use the ability to rack up damage the whole time. This is not that list. There'll be another time for that list. We'll have to see which one's the best, but for now this is one that intends to attack sometimes with the Decidueye GXs, so Razor Leaf is an option. It does 90, which is just short of knocking out of a Garbodor, so in Garbodor matchups it is important to Feather Arrow onto Trubbishes beforehand, so that if Garbodor is developed, you can just Lysandre and Razor Leaf to KO it, so bear that in mind. Its GX attack is for a single grass energy. Hollow Hunt GX allows us to put 3 cards from our discard pile straight into the hand, so it's an overpowered Junk Hunt. Junk Hunt only getting items, of course, and it's only 2 targets, whereas this is 3 targets of any card of your choice. Fantastic for getting back DCE, some of your tech one-offs that you'll see that we play in here, getting back pieces of your Decidueye line, whatever else you need. It's just really nice, helps the flexibility of this deck. And it means that we can play somewhat of a turbo engine with things like Acro Bike without too much worry, because we know that we can always recycle with Hollow Hunt at some point in the game. So yeah, that's Decidueye. Lots of great features. Obviously, the thick line of the Rowlett and the Dartrix as well, because we're not using Rare Candy, we're just using Forest of Giant Plants to evolve up into our grass types. There's nothing too impactful about these cards. It's rare that you'll try and use the attacks Sharp Blade Quill is a means of getting 20 onto Trubbishes though, so that's something to bear in mind. Rowlett does a poke for 10 as well, just in case the Trubbish is in the active position, so always have those things in mind. For the other Pokemon, we are using 2 Shaymin EXs. I've flirted with 3 sometimes. I do like playing 3, especially because a lot of the time with this list you will be using Sky Return. For that DC you do 30 and return all Pokemon cards attached to it to your hand. Because we can throw up Decidueye with a Float Stone, it's basically like putting a Warlord in the active position, that amount of HP, and we do play Max Potion that we can recycle with Hollow Hunt. Sometimes Sky Return looping is a great means of getting a bit more damage in the early turns if you're whiffing things like Grass Energy, etc. So that's really good. In general, we're just using it to set up and get into our Stage 2 lines as quickly as possible. And our 2 other basic Pokemon that we use as sort of tech attackers. The first is going to be Lugia EX. Now, I know that a lot of people are hyping Tauros GX. I'll talk about that card in a minute as other options for the deck, but why I'm choosing Lugia right now is because Aero Ball is a really good attack when there are decks that can just overrun you. Things like Mega Mewtwo, things like Yveltal, they will often try and stack up a huge amount of energy on themselves and just start trying to pound through you. So having the Aero Ball keeps them in check really nicely and means that with a few extra snipes here or there, you can definitely deal with their one big Mewtwo or their one big Yveltal that's in the active position. So that's really fantastic. Even just committing a DCE and not getting KO'd with the Lugia, it means that we can have the option to use Deep Hurricane, which has 80 plus 70 if there's a stadium in play, and then you discard the stadium. We play 4, most other decks are playing a high count as well, so there's often stadiums in play for us to discard. 150 is not the most fantastic number, but again, we can set this all up to be really nice numbers with the feather arrows, so very fantastic attacker. And the other card we're actually playing is Trevenant EX. Trevenant EX has the first attack Dark Forest, which does 20, and the defending Pokemon can't retreat during your next turn. This is one thing that we try and do against Garbodor players, because basically we trap things with Float Stones on them. If you can trap something, stop them retreating, we can just Feather Arrow their bench and completely wreck them. This is good for people starting certain bad Pokemon, like if they happen to start Hooper, something like that, and decks are often playing heavy Floatstone counts right now, rather than lots of physical switch cards or escape ropes, stuff like that. So we're trying to punish those people with Trev EX's Dark Forest. You also get a bit of poke damage. Let's not sleep on its second attack either. Wood Blast does 50 plus 20 more for each grass energy attached, so for a DCE in a grass you're doing 70 base. Doesn't sound fantastic, but if you're doing Dark Forest anyway, setting that up, you have time to power him up, and again, Feather Arrow improves the maths greatly. So Trev EX is the one of that we're liking right now because it is something disruptive, and I've won games off the back of this card on its own. There are some lists out there just running very high Floatstone, nothing else in terms of retreating, and you can punish people for that all the time with Trev EX. It's very, very cool, very frustrating card to play around. Onto the items now. Town Map is an obvious inclusion because we're trying to get as thick of a line of Decidueye out as possible, so that we need to fish them out the prizes if any of them are prized. Additionally, we play quite a few one-off cards in here, so it's good to fish those out. Speaking of fishing, we have Super Rod, going to help us recycle our Pokemon. Gets a full line of Decidueye back in one card, which is great. Obviously, Hollow Hunt can recycle it if need be, if we're up against a deck that is putting up a lot of pressure early on, or if we had awkward Acro Bikes and stuff like that. So Super Rod's something to bear in mind. Obviously, can get back our tech Pokemon as well in matchups where it's important. We do also have one Revitaliser. It's not quite as powerful as the Super Rod, but it does mean that we can go immediately to the hand. So oftentimes we can load up a Decidueye from nothing once one gets KO'd. So Decidueye goes to the bin, we can just Revitaliser, recover 2 of those pieces, find the third piece, slap them all back down again with Forest in play, and it's like we've just found ourselves another Decidueye and we're hitting an extra 20 with our ability all over again. So it's just really nice, good synergy in here. The one-off Max Potion is an interesting card. I've mentioned it a lot that it's a really good option because we are doing Sky Return, bouncing, throwing this guy in the active and just sitting there with no energy on us. It just sets the opponent back a turn, and sometimes it can be setting them back 2 turns because Hollow Hunt can recycle that Max Potion. doesn't sound that impactful that we're only setting them back a turn or two, but doing so means that we can sometimes rack up, 60 or 80 more damage just with our abilities before we've even considered attacking. So these turns really do matter and gives us win conditions, which is fantastic. From there, we have somewhat of a sort of mini turbo engine, not quite the full 4 counts for all these cards, but 3 Trainer's Mails to be consistent. One of the biggest cards in the deck is obviously Forest. We can't really do much until Forest is put into play, so we need to find this as quickly as possible. So 3 Trainer's Mail and 3 Acro Bike to help us out get there. 3 Level Ball as well for the Rowletts and the Dartrixes, as well as 4 Ultra Ball to grab the higher Pokemon, the EXs, the GXs, and of course Shaymin EX is the most important one out of those. Just 3 VS Seeker, because this deck wants to play 75 cards, and we don't have space for 4. Do not fret, because if ever you have had painful discards throughout the game, obviously Hollow Hunt is the backup option to recover VS Seekers or specific supporters if need be. So don't get too stressed out about the 3 VS Seekers. I know 4 is the standard in a lot of builds, but Decidueye specifically gets away with it because we can Hollow Hunt back in the situations where it's necessary. The 4 Forest as well, I've mentioned it already that it is probably the most important card in the deck. It's why Decidueye functions. We are playing 2 Lysandre, combines very nicely with the Trevenant EX's Dark Forest, as well as just, even though we do have the sniping, it's important to deal with things. We have to Lysandre Garbodor, these sorts of things are important, so 2 of those. 3 N, just for some nice shuffle draw. Oftentimes we're setting up math all over the board rather than just taking prizes in the active every single time, so N is often going to help us recycle and lower our opponent's hand size in the process. 4 Sycamore as well. We want to have aggressive turn 1s, get as thick of a line of Decidueye out as possible, so Sycamore is very good for that. One card that you may not expect to be in this list is EXP Share. It's a one-of that I've really loved in this deck. Because we have no other acceleration in the entire list, it just really helps out. Putting one of these on a Decidueye, chilling on the bench while you're Razor Leafing with the active is just so good for you, because it means you can continue to keep up the pressure the following turn. If your active is going to get knocked out, you can just slap the DC on with your next Decidueye, and that guy's ready to start hitting with the Razor Leaf to keep up the pressure on top of all the abilities that you're throwing at people the whole time. So EXP Shares are one of which I've really loved. There's always going to be a target to put it down on because you're benching Rowlett so quickly in the games. And also, if need be, if it's a super aggressive matchup, you can Hollow Hunt back the EXP Share as well if you're in a pinch. From there, just 2 Float Stones. It's going to help us move between our slightly more chunky retreaters, the Trev EX, the Decidueye. It's great on Decidueye, so that we can do the max potion shenanigans. Just a Float Stone in the active is all we need to start representing a threat, and it just moves between our dudes. Even if you've got 3 energy on a Decidueye, sometimes it's best to just retreat to the bench, force the opponent to Lysandre, because just the ability alone is so important to keep in play for an extra turn. So yeah, the Float Stone helps us out there. It means at the very least that we can Sky Return bounce like throughout the entire game, so yeah. For energy, we're just playing 4 DCE and 4 Grass Energy. I've tinkered with going down even lower, surprisingly, with these counts. I've gone down as low as 3 Grass before. Because I've put Trevenant EX back in, I've gone back up to 4, so I can actually use Dark Forest a bit more consistently. But I definitely have gone down to 3 Grass. Because of the EXP Share, I feel I can get away with it. Obviously, Hollow Hunt means that we can recover Super Rod, which means we can recover up to 6 Grass Energy a game. So really, we shouldn't ever have to worry about energy denial decks. I know they kind of will be around, but at the same time, this deck can represent a lot of damage without committing any energy to the board. With 4 Decidueye in play and a Sky Return bounce, you can do 110 a turn, and they can never have an option to Crushing Hammer that energy away. So I'm happy enough with the lowish counts. We have so much cycle with Acro Bike and heavy support accounts that we can dig into these energy quite comfortably. So yeah, that's where I'm at with the list right now. There's going to be a huge amount of discussion with Decidueye, I'm certain, because a lot of people are trying it out in different ways. One of the most popular ways that I've seen other people try out is the Tauros GX builds, where you play 2 or 3 Tauros just to sit in the active position. It forces a threat. It can poke for 60 on top of your abilities every turn, which is reasonable damage. And it basically forces Lysandres. And if you force Lysandre from the opponent and then they're not playing Hex Maniac, oftentimes there will be Garbodor builds, of course, so that's not necessarily too good for you. The reason why I'm not playing Tauros is because simply it can be played around. The damage of being a 60 baseline isn't that great when you compare it to Lugia EX, which can do more on its own as long as the opponent starts committing energy to their active, and Decidueye's Razor Leaf is also more powerful. Obviously, if they start attacking into Rage, it gets better. Mad Bull GX, I think, is often something you will never play because I use Hollow Hunt GX too often. So it kind of sits there representing the threat of Mad Bull GX, but it rarely ever wants to actually do it. I'll be honest, Tauros is something I've only played a couple of times in this list, and it's something I should work on more. But I think going forward, that's going to be something I have to try out, and something for you guys to try out as well, because I know a lot of people do like that in their testing. Another card is Hoot Hoot. It's something we have mentioned before in a few of our videos. It has the DC attack cost Claim the Night, which is the same effect as Quaking Punch, but for 0 damage, not allowing your opponent to use item cards during his or her next turn. This can be really good as a stall option, just like Trevenant EX. You can promote or Lysandre up Volcanions and Hoopers and these sorts of cards, and try and use Proclaim the Night so they can't put a Floatstone on in the first place, or use a switch or a Floatstone. This could be really useful. I've tried this out against Volcanion to give you a small % win condition. Do bear in mind, most Volcanion lists do play Ranger anyway, so they can Ranger Floatstone or Ranger Rope or whatever it is. So that's something I have toyed with. I've tried a thick line of Hoot Hoot as well, with 1 or 2 Noctowl. I'm not like that, so don't go down that route in my opinion. But the Hoot Hoot as a one-off, just like in this list where we have a couple tech attackers, I think Hoot Hoot could find its place. Another one is going to be Beedrill EX. Beedrill EX with the double scrapper, being able to take off tools. Not only does it free you of Garbodor potentially, but it also means that you have Lysandre stall targets. A lot of the time you win this deck with this deck because you've Lysandred something and you've had a free couple of turns just to throw abilities all around the board and you've slowed your opponent down. That's how I often take wins with this list. So having the double scrapper option, just like with Greninja in a way, because you can access their bench and just keep something stuck in the active, it's very appealing. Pin Missile is potentially a attack that you could play, maybe, question mark, but probably no. It's just the tool scrapper really that you want to use for Decidueye. So yeah, that will be it for Pokemon. There's so many more items that you can think about in here. The hammers is something that I've thought about before. That's not really the list that I'm playing right now. You could go down a more disruption-based route right now, but I'm not happy with it. Another one is Ace Trainer, because although we do have a speed engine, we're not physically taking prizes for a few turns unless it's lower HP forms. So Ace Trainer could slow your opponent down, just like how it's played in Greninja. So there's just a couple of options for you. Decidueye is such a versatile card, however, that I feel like if I got stuck into the nitty-gritty of options with Decidueye, we'd never get to the battles. So let's try and see Decidueye in action. I feel like I play this deck quite differently to some other people that I've seen play it, and it's definitely an interesting one and a really fun deck, in my opinion, to play. So we'll see how it goes now. And yeah, I think this is a genuine threat in the format, even though there are Garbodor lists out there, because I don't feel like this deck folds to Garbodor in the same way that Greninja folds to Garbodor. So we shall see. We shall see. We have a strong start. We're going first. We have the Forest. We have Ultra Ball. These are all good things. We see a Mew from the opponent, so it's probably Persimmon. Persimmon is quite an easy matchup for us. Don't want to jinx anything, but I do feel like it's pretty favoured towards us. We could go for a Dartrix straight away and just develop Decidueye and go for N. But we have so many speedy cards, I feel like it's kind of better to just do this. We'll have plenty of means of finding Dartrix in a moment. Let's see what we can get off of 4 cards from Shaymin EX. Looks like we get a load of whiffs. That's actually a really bad Shaymin. Okay, we'll Floatstone the Shaymin because I'm likely to Sky Return definitely at some point during this game. So we'll just sadly have to play the end because we got a load of unplayable cards there. So maybe the Dartrix was better. Oh man, I'm so sad. Okay, we're going to protect Rowlett. Attach an energy to him and pass. That could not have gone worse. That's the worst setup and the worst end that I've seen for a while. Taunted by the Decidueye twice as well. Okay. Let's see how crazy Persimmon can go on its first turn. Obviously, if it attacks with a Mew, doesn't have to worry about the resistance, but it does mean that the opponent has to get down 3 in a Fury Belt or all 4 Persimmons. So let's see how they can do. They start off with a pretty clean Ultra Ball, getting rid of 2 supporters. Got to follow that up with an Acro Bike, getting rid of a special charge. Oftentimes they play 2. Another Acro Bike. It's not rare to see lots of draw supporters, draw items. There you go, 3rd Acro Bike, all on the first turn. Getting rid of a Skyfield this time. That's pretty surprising they chose to get rid of Skyfield. Maybe they've got another one in hand. They train as well for their 4th Acro Bike already. First turn of the game, 4 Acro Bikes. That's pretty good for digging. And this time they get rid of an N. A lot of supporters already in the discard pile. Let's see what else that they can come up with here. There's going to be Persimmon number 1. Shaymin for 3 cards. There's the DCE. The retreat into Persimmon, followed by the escape rope. That's pretty mean. Trying to deal with a Rowlett early is impressive and mean. We're going to see the Ultra Ball. This could guarantee the Persimmon for the KO. And yeah, that's what they're going to go for. They probably have either VS Seeker or Sycamore here to finish out their turn. Yeah, there's going to be the VS Seeker. At least we get an N, so we can refresh our hand. Let's see what we get here. Wow, that's another grim hand. Wow. We see the town map from the opponent. They did have a Persimmon prize. They were aware of that, so they knew that they couldn't KO the Shaymin. So that's pretty decent of them. And they can play a Revive, recovering their Mew that they discarded earlier as well. And that's a pretty strong... yeah, more plays to go. They also play Tauros in their list. Which I guess is nothing to worry about, but I think most of the time we can play around it with this deck specifically. And we're just going to see a Horn attack for 60, which is all they need, copying Tauros rather than copying team play. For the KO on little old Rowlett, we will put DCE down on our active. We're going to put the Forest back into play so the opponent can discard their Shaymin if they wish to. We're going to use the Super Rod, recover just these 2 cards, and we're just going to do a Sycamore here because we need to find lots of Decidueye pieces if we want to keep up in this game. And that's not bad. We do have a clean Decidueye straight away, so we will go ahead, level ball for Rowlett, follow that up with the Acro Bike, and we can discard the Sycamore, take the Trainer's Mail here. Going to keep digging for more level balls and alike. Gonna take the N here, I think. No, because we can draw more cards with Shaymin. We'll take nothing. Okay. We'll be more aggressive. We only need 1 to KO this Mew, which is good news. But we also want something good to Sky Return into, ideally. Not much there, but we can town map and figure out what we want to take off of our prize. We'll be taking that Rowlett most likely. Additionally, we could take the Max Potion. That could be tempting. We're going to start with the Feather Arrow on the active, obviously. And we've got to think what we want here. I think Max Potion is probably the ideal card that we want. They took the Persimmon off the prizes, so we can't Sky Return here. We could Sky Return into this guy, Max Potion, attach, then Sycamore. That seems kind of fine. Yeah, that's what we'll do. We have the Floatstone as well, so let's take the first prize here. We'll pick up Max Potion. And we will promote Decidueye GX here. Let's see what this supporter our opponent has. I'm assuming they had a supporter because they chose to take Persimmon over Sycamore or VS Seeker. So, yeah, they are going to be VS Seeker. Maybe the teammates? Yeah, it's going to be teammates. It means that they can guarantee themselves double colorless energy and maybe another card here. I wonder what else they go for. Maybe fighting Fury Belt if they play it. They're going to retreat to the Tauros, which is interesting. Going to see the DCE get attached. Skyfield goes in, okay. Trying to disrupt our stadiums a little bit more, seeing as though 3 are in the discard pile and the other one is... oh no, it's not there, it's in deck, but still. 60 is not enough for us to want to max potion, I don't think. Because we can tank a few of these. The awkward thing is we kind of still want to do it just to get one up on an attachment so I can hollow hunt. Much too many energy in this hand is the main problem here. The sniper's going onto the Mew always. If I'm using Hollow Hunt this turn, I'm getting back Max Potion, Super Rod, and Forest, I think. Maybe Forest Level Ball, Max Potion. Okay, that's what we'll do. So then next turn we can Forest Level Ball, find Rowlett. We have 2 more snipes, which KOs the Mew, which means we can take the N. Okay, if I want the N, or we can take more Rowlett pieces. So we'll get these 3 cards back, try and represent a stadium more for a little bit longer because we've only managed to get 1 Decidueye out. But then promoting the Tauros is pretty good for us. We are going to see the Revive for a Mew and a Sycamore. There is a Fighting Fury Belt onto Tauros, and we're going to see Horn Attack for 70. Again, 70 is not the most threatening number I can think of. We can go for the Level Ball, start grabbing some of these, some more Decidueye pieces, hopefully. There is indeed a Decidueye, so we'll take that. Which means we can KO Mew this turn, which is cool. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. That was really silly. Okay, we couldn't have done it anyway. We couldn't have KO'd this Mew anyway because we need to develop the other Decidueye. So it doesn't actually... Oh, they got rid of a Persimmon. That's weird. Okay. So we're going to attach DCE to the bench. Feather Arrow. Feather Arrow. Just going to take a Rowlett. Don't really feel like I need to play it right now. How many stadiums have they gone through? They've gone through 3 of their own Skyfields. Haven't seen any puzzles yet though. I don't want to just give them a free Lysandre KO because they have taken a single prize already on a Rowlett earlier. So I think I'm just passing here. Can see a Fury Belt go onto the Mew. Going to see a Revive for the... Oh, they chose Mew over Persimmon. Interesting. See another Fury Belt go onto the other Mew. And we see a Sycamore again. They're actually running quite low on deck. Maybe this is a way to win the game. We're going to see the Escape Rope. Now, they don't actually have 369. Yeah, we're going to Shaymin here. I'd be surprised if they have 4th Skyfield and Revive. It could be a case, though, that they have that. If they have puzzles, they have that. Otherwise, I feel fairly safe here. They do DC the Mew. And they're just going to team play. Oh, the Fury Belt gets the KO. Of course, of course. I'm not paying enough attention. Okay. Let's go into our float-stoned Decidueye. Ooh, we can get ourselves a Dartrix here, which is cool. So we have 2 snipes. I think I'm going to start setting up one of their Persimmons. We can already KO the Mew in the active. Do I want to Sycamore this hand away? Not really. We've lost Super Rod. I need to keep this grass energy around for next turn. The prize we'll take is N, I think, because they'll be going down maybe to 2 prizes. How many VS Seekers have they played? 2 Lysandre gone, 2 VS Seekers played. So they probably Lysandre us next turn. Maybe I do need to set up the Dartrix then. I think I'm playing... No, I can't play the Shaymin. We'll just do this. Okay. Not going to put down the Rowlett because we know that the Dartrix is right there. Does mean that we can Feather Arrow. And we can Razor Leaf. And we'll take Dartrix. Alrighty. Let's see what the opponent can do here. I think N might be their best option now. Like DC. Ooh, they've got rid of 2 Special Charge and 2 DC, and one's already in play. Interesting. Let's see VS Seeker for teammates. Maybe we can play around with their do a Lysandre stall and win the game. They've played 2 ropes already. They probably still play a Floatstone, I would imagine. Oh, they concede. Okay. Nice. First game won. That was really slow as well. We had a really awkward first turn. Just a Rowlett that got KO'd. So yeah, navigated that fairly well. Let's try again. Persimmon should be one of our more favoured matchups, I would say. No Garbodor, so that kind of helps. And not a fire type, so that helps. Let's see what else we can face. We're up against Stealth. They're playing Grass Psychic Colorless, so maybe a Vespiquen build, or maybe it's Lurantis Garbodor? We'll see. We start with a mulligan. And we have little old Rowlett. Not the best of hands, but we have a couple of cycle cards early on at least. The opponent's able to take a mulligan here if they wish. And we see a Talonflame in the active. I don't know what deck this is. Could be a mirror of sorts. It could be a Decidueye build, for all I know. Let's Acro Bike and get rid of the N because we already have VS Seeker in hand. I think I want to Ultra Ball first before my Trainer's Mails. I don't mind putting Revitaliser in the discard pile or the Sycamore again because we have that VS Seeker. I think I always go Shaymin here. None of our Decidueye pieces prized, which is great news. We have Town Map. 2 of our forests are prized, which is pretty grim. So digging for that with these Trainer's Mails is the priority here. Lysandre won't be taken because it's not a good draw. And Floatstone can be taken. Okay, we're just gonna Floatstone, not DC, Grass Energy, and we'll set up for 5. Digging hard for this forest now, and any other Ball Search card really. Looks like we do find Rowlett EXP Share. That's pretty good to get down early, and we can Shaymin again for 3 cards. Forest anytime soon would be golden. We do hit the town map so we can see where our forests are hiding. I think we can just Ultra Ball away the Max Potion, the Lysandre, and then just play the Sycamore. I think that's what we want to do here. Alternative is just to play N, keep everything. So I've already got rid of Revitaliser. I mean, we do have the Super Rod in deck, so... And we can always Hollow Hunt. That's what I always tell myself. Okay, let's just find a Rowlett and go for the Sycamore and pray for some forests and all those good old things, all those grass types. No forests, so it's going to be 4 Rowletts down turn 1 it looks like. We're going to try and protect it as best we can. We don't have DCE, so it's not that comfortable going into Shaymin, but I think it's still our most comfortable play here. And we'll pass. I want to find out what list we're playing against. There's a Sceptile EX. Interesting. See a Grass Energy get attached. See a Trainer's Mail. For a Sceptile. Oh, Mega Sceptile. That's really bad for us. Because they have Fate to Stop. And they have a lot of healing. Oh no. This is a bad matchup. Okay, they're going to play Hooper. What's our maximum damage output? 8. 170 is our maximum. Okay, that's not very good. We can KO a Sceptile completely. Oh, they play Fury Belt as well as Spirit Link. Very interesting. The fact that they attach to the active actually helps us out quite a bit here, so we can try and set up some maths. Gonna see a Shaymin. Interesting that they play Talonflame, even though it's like playing lots of other basic Pokemon. You don't see that very often. Gonna see a Professor Kukui, so they could have actually KO'd the Rowlett this turn if I left it active. We can see a Trainer's Mail as well. For the Lysandre. And looks like that's everything. Oh, they have the parallel. Actually doing it the other way around is also very awkward for this deck. Okay, we're going to see the Aero Blitz for 60. Alrighty then, Forest top deck please. Oh, that's like the opposite of what I wanted to top deck. Okay. Well, at least we can evolve into these guys. Man, Super Rod is going to definitely be recycled when we are able to find it. With our GX attack. That's for certain. Still no Forest. 17 cards deep. I mean, 17 cards left. 16, so we have a 1 in 8 to see it off this Acro Bike. Sometimes lucky. Let's go, boys. We did it. We found one Decidueye, everyone. Hooray. Let's just have a quick look at those. Putting on the active doesn't change our math because we're going to Sky Return this turn. I could always do it next turn. I think I want to put it on the Spirit Linked one because that means they aren't the ones healing first, because their attack will heal the benched ones first. So we'll do that. We'll do that. Taking 40 plus 130 isn't great for them. I mean for our Decidueye. Taking 40 then means like 100 KOs us. But I think I have to represent the fact that I can KO his active next turn. So we'll do it. Hesitantly. Didn't find Super Odd yet. Gonna need to pretty quick. Or I'm holo hunting this back pretty quickly. But I want to find Super Odd before I holo hunt. So there's the Mega. Obviously it has the Theta Stop trait, making it very good against Greninja and Decidueye. The only thing is its numbers aren't great against Decidueye. I feel like we could just out-hit it a lot of the time, but they do have healing as well, so it's going to be a bit of a war of attrition for both of us. It's going to be a weird matchup, I can tell you that much. Mega Sceptile is one of those decks that's fallen into the category of great deck but loses to Volk. The opponent's going to Aero Blitz here. So I kind of want to holo hunt this turn based on my, well, we'll see what we top deck, but I'm pretty sure I want to holo hunt. I think only Super Odd would change my mind here. Oh, okay, I've changed my mind. Okay, we're not going to holo hunt just yet. Means you can be a bit more aggressive. I think I can afford to get rid of a DCE here. Putting down Shaymins isn't too bad though, because they can't even one-hit it with the Mega. Obviously these ones can one-hit them though. Doing this means we kind of have to Sky Return at some point. It's a huge loss of tempo against a deck where we can't really snipe too much. Let's just get rid of it. We can holo hunt them back, it's fine. I say that about the 60 cards in my entire deck. I can holo hunt them back. Obviously I can't holo hunt them all back, but we can get one of them. Okay. I don't think Trevenant EX is good enough in this matchup. Nothing's that chunky or anything. Right, so we're down to 8 cards in our deck very quickly. It's potentially an issue. We'll put 1 here so we can KO it this turn. And I think I want to put them on the non-Fury Belted one. I could just spread them on both. Yeah, let's put them on both. Assess our options. He can choose to heal both, obviously, but it's not ideal for them. We'll just take the DCE here. There's the attachment to the active. With so much healing, this has got to be a hard matchup. So our Hollow Hunt, I think we Hollow Hunt next turn, and I think we go Max Potion, Super Rod. Maybe Lugia? No, Super Rod can get about the Lugia. We'll go Max Potion, Super Rod, VS Seeker, I think. Oh no, DCE. We'll take DCE. Okay. Right, there's Jagged Saber for 100. Alrighty. We kind of still need to spread our snipes, which makes me very sad. Putting 90 on this turn isn't great at all. Obviously they could just Lysandre though, and we have a huge loss of damage. I guess we can just Razor Leaf now. Does that change what I Hollow Hunt for? It then goes to Super Rod. Maybe just Super Rod DC Revitaliser. Yeah, that's probably what I recover. Okay, let's just keep up damage-wise. I'm not happy about this at all, though. Because 110 is such an ugly number still. Oh wow, they play their own Decidueye line. This has got to be a terrible matchup, surely. Just when I thought Decidueye didn't already had too many bad matchups. In comes Mega Sceptile. See a second Professor Kukui. And we get hit with Jagged Saber for the knockout. We can get our EXP share working. Does he have any more attachments to do? No. Okay, let's go into Decidueye. VS Seeker. If I N and find our other 1, 2, 3, 9 cards, can go down to 8, 7. Okay, so we can kill the Rowlett here, which is what we want, and then we'll Hollow Hunt back cards so that we don't deck out. And it gets rid of our opponent's enormous hand size. Now they actually have a lot to dig for. They need to find Mega, Spirit Link, Energy, and another Energy on top of that. Kind of soon. So, right, we're definitely going this, I think this, maybe Floatstone. No, it's this. It's always these, I think. Super Rod gets back. Maybe we don't need Revitaliser. Maybe it's just these. Could be Floatstone as well though. Floatstone's really good. Nah, we'll just do this. Okay, let's see how much healing they can do this turn. Really, that's the defining factor. Floatstone to the bench, that's not a Mega. Oh, they just end their turn. Wow. Okay, so if I Lysandre this and attack, I think that's my best move. Do I want more grass energy this game? I don't think I do. I think I just go for a full Decidueye line. It's more accumulative damage. If I draw it in the right sequence. Yeah, we always Lysandre here. Let's not forget our snipes. We're kind of just trying to put everything into awkward range, right? Can't heal everything at once type mentality. Okay, this has better maths on it because it's just 90 away. So maybe he retreats and attacks with this one, but it means both of these are still left heavily with damage. Looks like his hand wasn't that strong though, because he just megaed for turn last turn. We see the retreat, we see the attack. And does he have any grass energy to follow up with? Yes, he can heal. Just that one, okay. So we do Dartrix, which isn't the right sequence. Let's keep up with the Feather Arrows. This is the only target on the board that we can hit, remember, because of Theta Stop. And we get absolutely wrecked if he has another grass energy. So I think I have to Lysandre again. Keep him in this awkward state. On the plus side, he's played very few cards from his deck, so he's not really cycled much. So he might have a lot of dead cards. See the Jagged Saber. Any attachments anywhere? Yes, okay, this time he heals this guy. Okay. So that's 110 away, that's 130 away. Okay, so this turn we retreat. Do I max potion is the question. The snipes aren't actually that irrelevant. Okay, let's raise a leaf. 40 remaining. 4, 5, 6, 7. There's a Lily to draw 3. There's going to be an Ultra Ball. If it plays Talonflame, I wonder how many Shaymin they play. Like, we've seen one, but are they playing more? Who knows? Gonna get rid of Forest and Ninja Boy. Ninja Boy is also an intriguing card. There's another Shaymin. Wow, they were pretty fortunate to get their Talonflame start. Putting the Shaymin down does potentially give us some easier prizes than trying to snipe our way all the way down from 210. But we'll see. Right, they retreat into this guy. Interesting. And use agility. Fortunately, it gets tails. Right, how much is this guy left on? 150. So we do exactly enough to KO it, which is good news. I think. Yeah. I had a panic moment. What am I taking? Just these two cards, I think. We don't need Forest. We might have a win condition here, guys. We'll see what they have in their hand. If they can't pick up that Shaymin, we could be in the money here. Even if they Fury Belt it, we can still win. But we'll see. There's going to be an Ultra Ball. For a fail search. Maybe they're just going to be playing N here. Yep, that looks like what it's going to be. Trainer's Mail for VS Seeker. And just the Jagged Saber. So Lysandre is game. We have one VS Seeker left in deck, as we know. Never lucky. I guess those are all as unimpactful as each other. So he has VS Seeker. Hasn't played... what's it called? Hasn't played a Lysandre, but he has played 2 Giovanni. So I think I actually max potion the active. No, I retreat and max potion. That's what I do. Retreat here? No, where can I retreat now? We only have our DCE left. Oh, this is tricky. No, I think we just punch the active. Yeah, we just punch the active here. That way he needs 2 heal cards, 2 grass energy. And even then, Lysandre top deck is still a win condition for us. We see the pay retreat. Fisherman is plenty of grass energy, as we all know. Right, the clock is ticking for us to actually KO the Shaymin now. And I need to start streaming soon. Clock is ticking in every which way. Fortunately, it does mean that we stay alive for a turn. Okay, top deck VS Seeker. There we go. We whiffed initially, but we got there. Wow, I can't believe we won this matchup. That's incredible. And so's Decidueye. That's what you should learn, kids. Right, that was perfectly timed. Now I can go start streaming for every one of you. So if you've not seen enough Omnipoke action for one day, check out the stream. Final word on Decidueye. Those were some weird matchups, but somehow we beat Mega Sceptile, which is pretty cool. Yeah, let me know what you guys think about this list and your own lists and everything else about Decidueye down below. Leave a like to this video if you did, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. For now though, it's been Joe from Omnipoke, and I'll be seeing you guys next time. Thanks for watching.